welcome everybody. Welcome to this panel. Um, this is for large employers. We were just in a session with the large employers where they talked about the programs that they create for hiring people, that neurodiverse people within their company. And this is a panel about outsourcing, about using companies that already hire autistic talent and providing them with the opportunities to do work for your company. So we have some really great speakers here. We have Dale O'Prandy from Inclusion Films up in Bakersfield. We have Steph Farr from Exceptional Minds. She's a director of studio programs animation. We have Mike Schmueck of Exceptional Minds, director. Did I pronounce your name right?
It's pronounced
Schmeck.
Schmeck. It's pronounced Schmeck. You ignore the U, it makes perfect sense.
So Schmeck, director of studio programs, visual effects from Exceptional Minds, and we're waiting for Marlene Sharp, who is from. She's a consulting producer at Brainstorm Productions. And my name is Jonna Cho, and I'm retired. I'm a former attorney from Warner Brothers, also a parent of a young man on the spectrum. So happy to be here. Thank you for being here today. So let's just start out by doing a brief self-intro of the speakers. Dale, do you want to go first? Just a brief intro about yourself.
Yeah, so we are Inclusion Films, and we were founded by Joey Travolta. And Joey was a special ed teacher years ago, and then of course when one of the Travoltas became famous, he then was offered a career in film and as a recording artist and as a director, producer, actor, and so forth. But he always knew he would go back to special ed in some way, shape, or form, and by forming Inclusion Films, which is a organization, program, a film program that we teach young adults with special needs how to work in the film industry. And we get them jobs in the film industry, which is phenomenal. And so that's what we do here at Inclusion Films. My background, I studied with Lee Strasberg in New York many years ago and produced and directed a lot of shows throughout the United States. And I was a daredevil escape artist when I was very young, and I got to meet a lot of people in the industry, and that helped provide where I'm at today in many ways, and in directing and producing shows. So that's me.
Great, thank you. Steph.
Hi, I'm Steph Farrar, Director of Studio Programs Animation at Exceptional Minds. My background is in animation. Went to school for animation, and then my career kind of started in the film industry in Eastern Canada and evolved into having my own boutique animation studio for a number of years. Before finding out that my passion was really more for teaching and developing curricula for animation. So that's kind of how my career started. And then I'll cut a really long story into a tiny one where I met my husband online, who lives in California, insert lots of years here, and then I eventually ended up in California falling in love with Exceptional Minds when I learned about them at CTNX. And then I just started harassing Exceptional Minds until they hired me. And I started out there in career services, helping students get employment and employment opportunities, internships in the industry. And now I'm moved to head of the 2D animation studio. So that's a little bit about me. And what we do at the 2D animation studio is that we hire exclusively our graduates from our full-time program, which is a 3-year program that teaches animation and VFX to students on the spectrum. Pass it over to you.
Yeah, my name is Mike Schmeck. I am the Director of Studio Programs for Visual Effects at Exceptional Minds. My background, I moved out to Los Angeles in 2010, originally looking to be a writer, and found my first job in animation, actually at the same company that Marlene worked at, and Jasmine back there. And I found it amazing and kept following the interesting opportunity from there, which brought me eventually into visual effects. Eventually from there, I spent 4 years at Netflix working on the Net Effects initiative, doing visual effects for their work, and then building out teams across the world, actually. And after that opportunity, I took a little bit of a break, and when I started looking again, finding Exceptional Minds and the purpose behind it, and the efforts to help promote, skilled artists and help them find their way, just felt too important and too good. And so I've been there for a little over a year and a half, and very happy to help these artists. I'd tell you more about it, but Steph has already done it, so I guess I'll hand it off to Marlene here.
Thank you very much, and I love that we're color coordinated in pink. Isn't that awesome? And it was just surprise. Hi, my name is Marlene Sharp. I have a company called Pink Poodle Productions because I love pink and poodles. And I worked with Mike at a place called RGH Entertainment, and our former coworker Jasmine Hernandez in the back there, she was with us there, and Jasmine worked with me at Sega, but she's still at Sega. I am not. But we just came from another panel, and I apologize for being late. I ran all the way like 3 buildings over to another panel with Exceptional Minds people, realizing it was the wrong Exceptional Minds people. And then I something's wrong here because Jana is not moderating. So anyway, apologies, but I guess we're doing intros. So again, Marlene Sharp, Pink Poodle Productions. I have a background in animation. I originally wanted to be an Oscar-winning actress by this point in my career. I wanted to be like Tina Fey, but apparently the world only has room for one Tina Fey, so I am me, and I found my way into merchandise-driven entertainment early in my career and have stayed there more or less for a lot of years. I've worked on a lot of franchises that might be familiar to you, such as Sonic the Hedgehog, Pink Panther, Postman Pat, Power Rangers. Jasmine and I, and Mike too, worked with Paul McCartney for a while. Yokai Watch, lots of Japanese IPs. And at the moment, I work with a number of different clients, including Brainstorm Productions, which is a school, or it's rather an animation studio connected to a school called the Center for Learning Unlimited that trains folks on the spectrum for animation careers. In fact, it's very much like Exceptional Minds. We aspire to be Exceptional Minds one day, but we're just not there yet. So we look at our big brother, big sister company and say like, oh, wow, look at them working with Marvel. And one day we hope to do that. But we're newer in the business. And I think, is this the time to show the...
No, we're gonna go around and show the videos.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
great.
So you'll be able to see some of the work from Brainstorm. But let's get back to, thank you, everybody. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your commitment to this conference and to our autistic youth and adults, and to this commitment to really bridging that employment gap, right? So Dale, if you could tell us a little bit more about Inclusion Films and your studio and the types of projects you work on, the different types of clients that come to you?
Yes. So we are a practical film school. We teach every form of film from pre-production to post-production, as well as acting. And we make usually 2 films a year here at our studio that our students make. And we have wonderful connections. Bakersfield is kind of a small city, if you will. And Kern County is very giving, and we can go out into the community and we get locations. Hold on one second. Guys, a little quiet back there, please. Okay. So we have, sorry about that. Our students actually we have buses that just came here to pick them all up. So they're just leaving now. So anyway, so just so you know. So we go out in the community, we get locations, and we have connections with the police department, the fire department, the ambulance corps here. So we have big production value in this town that's unbelievable, but it's given to us and for free. which is wonderful. So we also did a feature film here called Carol of the Bells a couple years ago, and we had 70% of the cast and crew were special needs, and which was incredible. And so, okay, bye, JJ. We'll see you on Monday. Have a good weekend. All right. So it's been a wonderful run, and Unilever has been hiring our students to do their commercials and throughout the United States. And a few of them just went on a commercial for the Super Bowl recently, a Super Bowl commercial. In fact, it was the one they can talk about now, the Hellman's Mayonnaise commercial that got a very comical commercial with Pete Davidson. And but they've been doing a lot of work with us, and which has been wonderful. We've had some of our students work on some of Joey's brother John's films, George Gallo's films, and who else? Gosh, just the list goes on and on of the projects that we're put on to work in workplace. We have one of our students that's here, Aisha, that worked in Hawaii on a feature film in Hawaii, and she does sound. All of our students learn, like I said, everything from camera to sound to special effects makeup to acting, all post-production, visual effects, everything in between, which is really cool. So that's, and I think we have, did you get our content to show?
Yep. We're gonna show your reel, but I want to say that we did show the trailer for Carol and the Bells
Good.
to the large group. It looks fabulous.
Wonderful.
So yeah, people check it out. Yeah. Okay.
Thanks, John.
Only good news. Interview Joey Travolta, scene 2, take 1, Mark.
Only good news.
My name is Joey Travolta. I am the founder of Inclusion Films.
Here we go. Let's shoot this.
Enough is enough, scene 37E, take 2.
Inclusion Films is a practical film workshop that takes adults with developmental disabilities through the whole process of making a film. We teach technical skills, life skills, social skills through the art of filmmaking.
Before I ever did an inclusion films programs, I really didn't believe in myself because I've been taught from a very young age that I needed help to do things, and that, you know, I wasn't able to do things by myself, and, you know, it was just kind of a disaster. I didn't think I would ever be able to hold a job. I didn't think I was ever going to be able to, you know, live on my own.
In the technical aspect, I've learned everything, really, from camera, sound, lighting, building sets. You can imagine it could be very stressful going out to a new studio where you've never been before and interviewing in front of people you've never met.
One of the greatest aspects of filmmaking is it's a village, it's a family. And a lot of these kids with special needs, they're not included. Here, we're doing something good for a great population.
They taught me how to, you know, do the various jobs in filmmaking, and then they let me do it, and I was able to do it by myself, which felt great because I was able to actually do things. I didn't need the help from other people to do it.
I learned that there's confidence I never knew I could have. That was probably brought on by just simply learning how to act.
What I want them to come away with is a sense of self. I want them to be confident to go out into the world. Again, whether it's the film business or not. I want them to be comfortable wherever they go.
Never give up. That's what I've learned here. You just got to keep going out and doing what you do. And then someone will see it. Someone will take notice.
Most of our students will probably not go into filmmaking, but the skills that they learn are applicable to any workplace that you go into.
Without this program, I think I'd still be sitting at home doing nothing and have a very bleak life. And because of it, I have a future, and I didn't have a future before this.
Beautiful. Thank you for sending that reel, Dale.
Okay. Thank you for showing it.
Sorry, what was that?
I said thank you for showing.
Yep. Thank you. Okay, so next, Steph, do you want to talk about your program, your animation program at Exceptional Minds?
Absolutely. So the 2D studio at Exceptional Minds, well, both studios really, but I'll talk about the 2D side. This is where this is specifically our studio set up to bridge the gap between what our students have after the 3-year full-time program. And they graduate and they realize maybe they can't get jobs right away because they need some of that experience. Our 2D studio is set up for exactly that reason, for them to get that experience. So that's the program that we offer. We take on short form content, animation work, but we also are starting to branch out into illustration, graphic design, maybe some motion graphics projects, because anyone who knows a little bit about 2D animation and the skills that are associated with that also know that these skills branch out into all kinds of other entry-level jobs. And so our studio is set up not just to do 2D animation, but anything that's related to that, so that these students who graduate have a place to go where they can still level up their skills and add content to their portfolios and experience to their resumes. So that's what we're set up to do.
And then on the VFX studio side, I think Steph hit it right. The way I always put it is my job is not to build a studio, it's to build artists. And as such, we partner with some major studios, big projects, small projects, to be able to perform VFX work for them. Our largest client generally has been Marvel in the past. Our team does the end crawl or end cards for every Marvel project since, I believe, Avengers Age of Ultron. So it's been years upon years at this point. Beyond that, the team has worked with all the major studios by this point, as well as small projects. I believe you guys are going to actually have a little clip of our demo reel that we just updated. It includes a big project that I'm really happy with that we did this last July. That was for Netflix. It was a project called Bodies. You'll see it right at the beginning. Basically, the team on that show accidentally put mutton chops on a character in a scene that they shouldn't have had mutton chops on. And we had to remove the mutton chops from the entire sequence. So, I'll leave it at that and just say that you should be amazed at how skilled these artists are. You want to go ahead and show the... Thank you for taking a look. I'll just add one other detail and just say that, the popular term at this moment for the type of visual effects work that our team on the VFX side of the Exceptional Minds studio does is the invisible visual effects. It's all those shots that, if we've done it right, no one here has any clue that there was a visual effects shot. So it takes a lot of extra skill and attention to detail to make sure that you never know. Exactly.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That's great. Thank you. Thank you for that. That really was really eye-opening to me too. I don't really always see that, right? That sort of work that's done
Oh, exactly.
on the film, and that you're training these students to do that, and giving them that experience to do it on these big feature films. That's amazing.
It is.
Yeah.
Thank you. So Brainstorm Productions is a bit newer. Well, we're a lot newer. This month is our 1-year anniversary of opening. Thank you. Thank you. We had a nice launch party last April at the studio down in Torrance. And we had a soft open before that. So we've been working with clients and doing some original projects for probably about a year and a half. And we work with a lot of different people, but not Marvel. None of them are Marvel or Disney, or really that level of company, an iconic company. We still have our training wheels on, in other words. And so one thing with our population, we're trying to instill an entrepreneurial spirit in them, because we feel that will give them the most employability in the future. And so so from the beginning, we've focused on all different kinds of illustration, animation, and animation adjacent type of projects. And our very first project that we did was the Easter Seals Disability Challenge. We jumped into that because our students had never collaborated on anything before. It was during COVID, so the studio was born during COVID, basically. And so they had only ever worked on individual assignments, so there was no, it was difficult to assess, excuse me, the skill set. So we did this Easter Seals Disability Challenge, and we discovered we had 4 very good stop motion artists in our school, which we had no idea because there was no emphasis on stop motion. And so that became a stop motion project. And then we've always tried to balance the original stuff, letting the students develop their own creative voice. We had a video game class, for example, where the final project was a development document, a game pitch document that they turned in. And then we've been slowly bringing in client work. We started with illustrating children's books, and then we did animation as companion pieces to the children's books, and we've done promotional posters and coloring books and various things. So we're not ready yet to handle a Marvel movie, or maybe not a theatrical feature, but this month, starting April 1st, we're rolling out a series of short films that we will then put together, and it'll be compiled into a 60-minute extravaganza of animation. And one of our colleagues works very closely with Dave Coulier from Full House, so he will narrate it once all the shorts are finished. But we made a demo reel, or a sizzle piece, for this shorts project based on dreams, and that's the piece that we have to show today. There's no Dave Coulier narration in this, not yet, not till it's finished, but you can see some of and these are all original ideas from the artists, and they will be put together in one big project.
And we have a video. beautiful. Well, that was amazing. So next, I'm going to allow you guys to toot your own horns. And if you were to pitch your studio to a company, how would you pitch your company? What is it that makes your studio special? Why should a company hire you? Oh, should we go with Dale? We'll go with Dale. We'll go in order.
Well, because all of our students are well trained. I mean, we train them, in every aspect of film. So from craft services to art direction to building sets and painting sets, scenic artists work, to camera to sound. So we really have everything. We have all the professional equipment here to do so, and they're out making films. We're out and about, making two short films, usually running about 30 minutes, 40 minutes each, 2 a year with our school. And then plus we do smaller projects as well here. And any projects that are brought to us that commercials or music videos and so forth. Usually our latter team, what we call our platinum team, which is kind of like the seniors here, they go out on all those projects to work and get paid. So once they move up into the platinum area of our school, then they're given jobs. So but they're job ready, and we have a lot of them. In fact, Aisha here got to work in Hawaii, and she was the head of the sound department and on a feature film. Can she talk a bit about that for a minute?
Absolutely.
Tell them about your experience there.
So,
Can you all hear her?
did you hear me?
Okay.
So yeah, the job in Hawaii, it was amazing. It was such an amazing opportunity. So I got it. It was I honestly thought I would be more nervous, but when I got there, I was like, okay, so I'm the head of the sound department, great. But then I realized I was the boss of the sound department. So once I got over that, then it became so much easier. Everyone thought that it was kind of interesting because the person that was there, they kept going to him, but then as soon as he left, they realized that I was really the brains of the operation. And they're like, oh. And then when I told them that, when they randomly asked me, he's like, oh yeah, I go to I was trained with inclusion. And they're like, oh wait, what does that mean? And I told them, like, yeah, it just, they hire people with autism. I was like, oh, you have autism? I'm like, yeah, does that mean I can't do this? So it kind of was really fun to be able to be there for an entire month, to be doing sound on location. To do sound on a boat was awesome. So that was really cool. But it honestly wouldn't be for inclusion, I wouldn't have been able to have the confidence to do that job, or the other jobs that I've been fortunate enough to go on.
Yeah. And then Bryce here. Bryce, tell a little bit about some of the projects you've worked on.
So I've worked on a couple of Netflix projects. I worked on The Vanished with Thomas Jane and Anne Heich. And I worked on Special, which was based on not Special. It was Special. Special, where it was based on a cerebral palsy kid who basically was gay and he was trying to find love in the world. So yeah, I worked on a couple of those projects. I worked on Carol the Bells with inclusion here. I've done a lot of other projects. I worked with Dr. Phil. Worked there for I think a few weeks. What else have I done? I worked on quite a bit of music videos outside of inclusion, but overall, my job is mostly here, and I work here for the studio.
And he now is one of our editors here. So he's been hired on from a student, and we now have him working full time for us. And Aisha teaches special effects makeup for us as well. And she worked on a George Gallo film, which was The Comeback Trail with Robert De Niro. And she got to do special effects makeup professionally on that film. So she now teaches for us special effects makeup as well. She's phenomenal at it. And she teaches sound as well now. So we've hired her on for both things. So so the pitch is basically, it speaks for itself. We get these young people trained and get them out in the workplace, and we get called back. Unilever has called several of our students back to work on TV commercials because they love the fact that they take it seriously, they're there on time, and they love what they do, and it shows.
Fantastic. Congratulations, the two of you, on great work done, and and progressing in your careers and being a great example for others that are coming up and getting trained in this area. Steph, you want to make your pitch? Why should we hire you?
I think the first thing that I'll say is we can do it. We have the talent. We have the graduates from our program are incredibly skilled and very talented artists. Right now, our studio is going through an interesting evolution where in the past, our studio was doing a lot more a lot less short form content, maybe one project at a time, maybe hiring 6 or 7 or 8 artists at a time. Now we're doing 5, 6, 7 projects at a time and hiring up to 25 of our grads. So we're kind of leveling up and we're seeing a real difference in the quality of the work that we're doing. And this is a really great place for these artists to get started, where I'm not going to say we're cheap, because I'll never say that. We're incredibly talented, but we're affordable. So we're an affordable option if you want short-form content. I wouldn't say that we're ready to work on half-hour series work. In fact, I would avoid working on half-hour series work for really big studios because well, first of all, we're working with fresh grads is one thing. Another reason is that we are only about 25 artists, and we're not really looking to get much bigger than that, because this is the stepping stone between the school and their future careers. This is where they're getting those first couple of years experience. So we really want them to leave us one day, get their experience, and then leave us one day so that we can welcome the next batch of grads and keep doing what we do best. So that's why you should hire us, because you're helping nurture this talent and you're adding experience and a variety of work to their portfolios and making them stronger. So that's my reason. That's my pitch.
Competitive pricing, right?
A competitive pricing, absolutely.
Obviously, I generally tend to agree with Steph, being my counterpart there. I think from an outside company perspective, hiring us, I think an additional avenue to call out is I think it helps demystify working with people with autism. You know, it's not just about the product you're getting, it's about realizing as a company that these artists are talented and that, you know, all you need to do is give them the opportunity and make sure you ask what they need. You know, we have practiced that. We live that every day, and we can see the results that you get as a result. You know, beyond that, on just a real sales pitch side, you know, we have competitive rates within the visual effects industry at Exceptional Minds, and obviously we have a history of delivering on time, on budget, while at the same time really being able to be open and partner with companies that want to work with us on the visual effects side. You know, there's a classic thing in the visual effects industry of a show talking to a VFX studio, and they're like, absolutely, we can do that sim work for you using Houdini, the program. And the next day they see that company posting a job posting for a Houdini artist. We can't do that. We have our specific artists who we know backwards and forwards. We know their skills, we know what they're capable of, we know what the next thing is that we want them to try and grow into. And we're gonna be very clear with any potential client about exactly what we are and aren't capable of, because the ultimate goal is to make sure that those artists can succeed. And that's what makes EM succeed.
Great, great. So you know what you're getting when you're hiring. You guys are honest, you tell them your limitations and what your goal is, what your mission is in these projects, right?
I guess I would add, we generally find that especially on the VFX side, because it's big and complicated, you know, the people that are our clients, the companies, they are partners in effect, and we treat them as such. Whether it's Marvel or in the last couple of months, we've worked with Paramount on a couple of projects and NBC Universal on a couple of projects, Netflix as well. And whoever they are, the shows that partner with us treat us as a partner, and we do as well. And it opens up eyes, it really does.
So if you have a cat project, we are the studio for you. We are the studio of exceptional cats. The universe has sent us so many cat projects in the last year and a half that I can't even count them. And there's no really common thread or reason except that the universe must know that we're a studio full of cat lovers and also very passionate about the plight of black cats, which is very much like autistic people in the workforce. I don't know if you're familiar with black cat rescue organizations or whatnot, but that's a phenomenon. Black cats have trouble getting adopted, and when they do get adopted, oftentimes it's to be made fun of or a part of like a Halloween installation or to be part of some kind of prank or it's horrible. And so there are rescue organizations that specialize in that. And early in our cat animation and illustration career, like a year and a half ago, we realized that how much common ground we shared. And so one of our earliest cat projects, not the first, it was maybe number 3, was illustrating a series of children's books and the companion animation for a franchise called Willow's Tale. And it's aligned with a black cat rescue. So we learned a lot about black cat rescues. We created animation for a booth that exhibited at CatCon, which was super fun because we got to go to CatCon and experience that in the cat trenches. And our animation was the only animation on the exhibit floor, and I think the Willow's Tail booth got the most traffic because all the kids who were there with cat-loving parents, they wanted to come and see the cat cartoon. I'm not going to say that we can compete with these guys or these folks because we can't. But if you want to help a new studio get going and feel really good about it, and something that tugs at your heartstrings, and also we have gotten really good at doing illustrations for self-published children's books. So we can advise you on putting your book through the Ingram Spark process versus Amazon, or doing both of those things, and how to market with social media. We've gotten really good with that, advising self-publishing people who either aspire to do that or have done it and maybe want to learn some tips and tricks that we've accumulated through our experience. But cats, for sure, if you've got a cat project, we're the go-to for that.
Well, isn't that how it works too, right? It's almost opportunistic, the way that your business might evolve. That, it sounds like you're actually filling a niche of like children's books, illustrations. I think you mentioned coloring books for
Yes.
hospitals, being a cat expert, cat art.
Yeah.
So it's going to be really interesting to see where you are a year from now.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned the coloring books, or called back to that, because we only started doing coloring books because we had a couple of artists who really weren't fitting into the pipeline of cranking out the different pages, but they really loved the line art. They could focus on drawing the heavy black line, tracing around the characters and so forth. They can do that all day, all night, every day, and never get bored with it. So one of the supervisors said, okay, let's turn it into a coloring book and let's offer it to the author as like, hey, this is a little bonus. And the author loved it. So now we do that. We offer that as a bonus for anybody who we're working with, especially the children's book authors. It makes a lot of sense. And we're doing coloring book for 2 hospitals now as a special collaboration. So maybe that'll be our next frontier that
Yeah.
we conquer.
Yeah, sounds like it. Sounds like a lot of creativity and resourcefulness and knowing, using that talent that you already have. That's great. Okay, so we're going to spend the last few minutes. I want each of you to share a success story or an interesting project that your company's worked on. Yeah, so Dale.
Okay, so I would say that when we did Carol the Bells, as I said earlier about hiring, we had 70% of the cast and crew were on the spectrum or special needs in general, and that was like groundbreaking. So that's a success story for us, and I think also, you know, when we get people calling us back to do other jobs, like again Unilever, calling us back to say, oh my gosh, you know, this person did such a wonderful job, and we from time to time we get them saying that we never knew that, you know, someone that's on the spectrum could do this. They never gave that chance before. They were never given that chance, and then they say that you know, they really work hard or even above and beyond yet someone that's neurotypical. And when we hear that, it's like, wow, that's incredible, because of giving them that chance, opening the doors to this community. And it's happening more and more, thank God. Thank God it's opening up the doors more and more. We see it more and more now. And that is just incredible. That makes Joey and I feel so good, and it makes our students feel wonderful that they have that opportunity now. So those success stories are really every month for us now, and it's just that's great. It's a great feeling, and to see them get that big check, and to see them, you know, live on their own now, and to, you know, they're independent. Some of them got their driver's license. They're driving now. And all the things that they were told by doctors early on in their childhood, their parents were told, they will never be able to do this. And shame on those doctors, shame on the medical community for doing that. And they're doing it. They're above and beyond so many people. So that's a big success.
Beautiful. I mean, sky's the limit, right? I mean, if we don't put
Yes.
limitations on people, we never know what their potential is. So
Absolutely.
that's beautiful. Steph.
I think I could talk about success stories all day. I will share a combo success and interesting project story. Recently, it's so hot off the press, and it's the reason why we didn't have a demo to show today, because our caliber of animation and what we can do now is so much more impressive than our last demo reel. But everything is hot off the press, and we've just delivered. So it's too soon to show you, but I will tell you, we had 4 students, grads, they're now EM grads, who had 1-minute ideas selected by a big company. I don't know if I'm allowed to say it so soon, so I won't, but a big company. They were kind of awarded this opportunity to turn their ideas into 1-minute and 15-second shorts. In this past, you know, since from the fall until just now. And these young men and women who had their shorts done, they directed them. So these are graduates of our program who are directing for the first time. And involved in that process, they are interviewing their own peers from the school for different positions on their films. So we're helping them go through the interview process. We're even sharing budget information with them, so they have an idea of what things cost throughout their production. They know to try and stick to a schedule. And, you know, we have supervisors, you know, production manager, who is Kate Jorgensen, and earlier we mentioned she's a huge success story. And I'll just plug her again because you can't not. Kate was taken out of, she applied for a Nickelodeon internship her second summer at EM, and then they kept her for 4 years, where she did really, really well in production. And then when she was recently laid off, she kind of came back home, where we happened to have a position open for her as production manager. So this is her career path. But she helped rock this whole series of shorts that we did with our artists. But we employed, 25 of our graduates across 4 one-minute shorts that they got to direct themselves. So that's a huge, times 25 success stories. And it's really neat to see our team gel. Some older graduates are mixing with newer graduates, and they're working on these projects together. They're working in an entire pipeline, from design and storyboard phase through animation, rough animation, cleanup, color, adding sound, finishing it up, compositing, working on each other's films. So, they've really gelled as a team in these past couple of months on these projects. So I consider them all huge, huge success stories. Yeah.
Right, and they were able to go through that experience, right, of hiring people and the nuts and bolts of production.
That's right. They interviewed, they had to look at work, and the other students had to show their work and be a part of the interview. That's one of the things we're doing at the studios. We're giving our grads experience. We don't have to interview them. We know their skills, but we want to interview them so that they get that practice, because this is still that transition period between graduating and those first jobs out there. So we do still go through the motions of interview process so that they get that practice. So it's neat to see them practicing it together.
Yeah. Great.
I'm going to try and go a little quicker than I would otherwise, because after this, I have to go back to the studio to deliver some shots. That's no joke. A couple of success stories and/or interesting projects real quick. The obvious one that I kind of briefly touched on before was that Project Bodies with the mutton chop removal. That was a step up for the studio with regards to the type of work that we are asked to accomplish. A lot of times, these invisible visual effects can be pretty straightforward, pretty simple. But if you go too simple, you're running into work that, frankly, is oftentimes outsourced to India, Eastern Europe, and on a price point we can't compete. But that doesn't really matter. The bigger thing that matters is if I'm training these artists to work on a career here in the United States and Canada, those types of shots that usually get outsourced are not good shots for them to be working on, because it's not training them properly to succeed in the long run. So a project like Bodies that's a lot more creative while still having a clear yes or no, did we succeed? Can you tell that the mutton chop used to be there or not? That was a big success. We had 19 shots. My junior lead artist, Isaiah, who was interviewed and played during lunch, he's amazing. He is one of my big success stories generally, but he literally learned a new plugin for Nuke called Keen Tools in a week, taught it to the rest of the artists to be able to do those shots, and we were able to do 19 shots in 20 days. We were working days, and we were 4 days early on schedule. Client was so happy they sent us a bunch of extra work to take a look at and bid on. So that's one side of an interesting project that caused a lot of success. We've also had artists that worked in the studio that have since moved on to other studios, larger studios. I know most recently, I think of Nick Dodge, was a gentleman that worked in the studio and is now, last I knew, over at Ghost VFX. But I think the biggest success story I can talk about is my 2 full-time artists in the studio. The majority of the studio is part-time, but 2 artists, Thomas and Isaiah, both stepped up long before I even arrived at Exceptional Minds and were turned into full-time employees. Obviously, Isaiah is leading the rest of the artists and showing them how to succeed. And on Thomas's side, Thomas basically runs the end titles work alone. When I arrived, he did the deliveries, he did the work, but he avoided the client communication. I've spent the last year and a half basically getting him to the comfort level where he spoke at our 10-year anniversary event. He now messages clients directly, constantly, and knows that I trust him to do it, and he knows that he can do it. And so watching them develop into leads to help support the rest of the artists there and grow them is really my biggest success story I could tell.
We had a success story that involved bringing two different clients together, two clients that wouldn't have known each other had it not been for our studio. We collaborated with an organization called Rock Autism out of New York. They are like us, but with music. So they train adults and kids on the spectrum for music production careers and performance, and then they tour. And so last year their tour led them on a stop in Hollywood. So they hired our studio to create the poster for the LA leg of the trip. So we did that, and then we had a really great collaboration, open communication with them, and so we were telling them about some of the other things we were working on, and just in those conversations, they offered to have us screen our Willow's Tale to Cat short films before the concert. So, and then they allowed that particular author, Linda Malik is her name. She's around here today too, by the way, in case you see her. But they allowed Linda to come to the venue and set up a little merch station with all of her Willow wear. And she had a screen, and she screened the shorts in the lobby like as a pre-show warm-up type of thing. She sold a lot of merch, and then we all got to stay for the concert, and it was just a beautiful collaboration. It was very rewarding to bring two different clients together from Linda is based locally, and then Rock Autism is in New York, so it was, reaching out across the miles and creating something bigger than all three of us. So that was very, very successful and satisfying.
Yeah, that's great. I love those collaboration stories. And that's really what this whole conference was about, really, right? We're bringing all these people together for a common goal and to help our kids and people on the spectrum. And it's going to be really exciting to see what the entertainment industry looks like 5 or 10 years. We're going to see all of these graduates entering the industry, and the studios need to be ready. They need to be ready for this. We need to, push them along and make sure that they're doing what they need to do to get ready for this vast pool of talent. So thank you, everybody, for being here, and thank you to our speakers. Thank you for all your sharing your experience and your stories. And thank you, Dale, for zooming in. Sorry we couldn't see you in person and to see your students.
Hopefully next time.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you for having us, Jana.
Yeah, thank you. Hopefully next time we will see you in person.
We will.
Yeah. Okay, well, we're going to wrap up. Thank you so much. We're going to have the closing ceremony out in Garin Pavilion. Get your T-shirts at the info booth. And that's a wrap. Thank you.
Okay.